Welcome to Childcare Rockstar Radio. I am your host, Chris Murray. Childcare leaders around the globe are breaking through challenges, leading the way in innovation, testing new best practices, and impacting children and families in a much more powerful and positive way than ever before. Each week, join me for interviews with early childhood leaders and experts that will leave you inspired to become the next childcare rockstar. Now, let's go. This is Childcare Rockstar Radio, episode 105, featuring Jody Zabriskie. Welcome back to the podcast, everybody. This is your host, Chris Murray, and I'm thrilled to be with you for this just under an hour of incredible content and sharing from my guest today, which is Jody Zabriskie, and she and her husband, Brian, own 5 locations in American Fork, Utah. And Jody and I dig in to some incredible content, which I'm going to tell you about coming up. This episode of Childcare Rockstar Radio is sponsored in part by Peanut Butter and Jelly TV. Are you interested in adding a video streaming program at your school, or have an existing system that you would like to integrate into a video streaming program? Check out our friends at PB&J TV, and I have been working with these guys for almost the last decade. They're incredible. PB&J TV is an industry-leading video streaming program and camera system provider for early childcare providers that provides best-in-class camera services and is 100% compatible with any existing system on the market today. Mention me, Chris Murray, and mention me that I sent you, and you'll receive a free server to integrate into your existing system, or 10% off their latest HD camera system. Just visit their website at www.pbnjtv and schedule a 5-minute, no-pressure discovery call to learn more. That's pbn as in Nancy, j.tv. All right, everybody, we are back to the podcast, and I am so excited for today's episode. We are also in the middle of our latest challenge that we've been doing with all of the startups and family childcare providers in the industry. We are doing the Childcare Startup Challenge, and we are in our final couple of days. By the time you hear this episode, we will have launched 20 or 30, maybe more, childcare startups into the field. And we are trying to bring excellence at the startup level now. This is a brand new offering, a brand new level. And so if you're listening to this podcast and you are new to the idea of developing and starting your own brick and mortar center, we finally created a level just for you. We've been working on this for a couple years now. We've been being asked by so many folks in the industry who really are at the startup level and might not have a lot of funds to invest in coaching and training and startup support services. And we've fashioned a coaching level just for you. And so if you want more information about that, all you have to do is just go over to childcaresuccess.com and click on book a coaching call. And one of our coaches will hop on the phone with you and explain to you all about it. It's a no pressure, really super consultative chit chat. And so please take advantage of that, and you'll get some free coaching along the way for yourself and your business. Or your business to be. So if you have an idea, you want to start an after-school program, you want to start a drama, play center, a child business of any type, really, you can work with us in startup mode inside of our brand new launch track of the Childcare Success Academy, and let us help you launch your 6 or 7-figure business, your brick and mortar program from scratch, and help you start earning some really, really good income within 6 to 12 months. So that's what the program is designed for. And it's brand new, and we're so excited to have all of our founding members coming in right as you listen to this episode here at the podcast. And so today's guest is Jody Zabriskie, and she shares her startup story on the podcast, and how she went from her first location with a capacity of 27 to 5 locations outside of Salt Lake City. And she's doing amazing things. One of the best episodes I think that we've ever done here. The energy, the drive, the positivity, y'all. The positivity is just insane. And her leadership. And she has talked about her struggles in, coming into her program and not feeling positive, and how to turn it around in your mindset, and how to find that work-life balance, and how to design a really strong leadership team so that you can be supported in this journey of ownership and leadership in a childcare setting. And it ain't easy, as you know, if you're doing it and listening to this podcast. And so I think you're going to get a lot of amazing tips from Jody, writer downers that I think we forget. We're so entrenched in the day-to-day of doing the work. And then I think that's why this podcast such a big following at nearly 100,000 downloads now, because there's nowhere else to find these tips and success strategies and an ongoing just resource library of success-oriented leaders and owners. And so having that constant stream of positivity is so game-changing, because it's so easy for us to kind of forget. We forget our sparkle. I don't know about you, but it's been a year, right? I mean, here we are. And it's been about 14 or 15 months of real, some of the most difficult months that we've all ever lived. And we're hopefully finally starting to come out of it. I pray and hope. And so enjoy this podcast. Jody shares with us her biggest business challenge that she's faced and how she overcame it. She shares her brand name and what it stands for, and the 3 things that set her apart in her marketplace. And when I asked her, she just listed them out, because she's been practicing how to actually language your unique selling points. And it's something that we teach all day long inside the Child Care Success Academy. And she's at the empire level now in coaching, which is our highest level. And she's in a pod with me, and I coach her each and every month. And it shows up. It really, really shows. You're going to see it in her drive and her passion and her energy and all the gifts that she's bringing to our incredible industry. So let's just dive right in, because I can't really do it justice. It was an incredible conversation. Lonely at the top, but no longer. And how she does it, how she leads. And that's really what this episode is all about, is how she leads, with Jody Zabriskie here on the podcast. Enjoy at Childcare Rockstar Radio. Welcome back to Childcare Rockstar Radio. This is episode 105 featuring Jody Zabriskie. Jody, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Chris. Thanks for having me.
You are welcome, and I'm so thrilled you're here. Where are you right now?
Well, I am in American Fork, Utah, in my office, a great corporate office. Never thought I'd have.
Great. American Fork is south of downtown Salt Lake City, or where is it?
Yeah. It's about 25 minutes south of Salt Lake.
Cool.
Yeah.
And how big of a town is it?
I mean, it's not metropolitan, but it's pretty good size.
Like a good sized suburb, like I don't know, 40 or 50,000 or something.
Yeah. Perfect.
Cool.
I mean, we're in Utah. You just kind of continue on.
Yeah,
you just run into them, you just continue on. So yeah, that's hard to say.
It all just blends.
It just blends.
Yeah. Very good. So how long have you been in the wonderful field of early childhood? Tell us a little bit more about your journey.
Sure. So, I mean, to be honest with you, it's been since I was 11 years old.
Wow.
To be honest, because, I mean, I had a childcare business, or a babysitting business, when I was 11 years old. I always just had a big desire to just be surrounded by children. And so I mean, I could get a little bit more into why I did what I did, but that's where it started. And then I was a nanny at the young age of 18. I was barely 18 when I went to be a nanny, and did that for 3 years. And professionally, I owned a preschool, private preschool, and then I went and owned my businesses for 16 years. So 23 years total for professionally.
Mm. And how many schools do you have? How many locations?
So I actually have 5. We just expanded a week and a half ago to our 5th location.
Woo! Congratulations.
Thank you. We have 6 if you count our corporate office, because it is an overflow. We opened to help families as the COVID hit. And so we have an after school program as an overflow if we need, if need be.
Cool. That's awesome.
Gave me a place to sit.
We have to have a special place for the queen bee of the business to sit. Come on.
Well, and I have some employees here too. So,
yeah.
It just, and I'll go into that a little bit more of the amazingness of what that really does for you.
Yeah. Very, very good. And before we hit the record button, we were talking about the variation in size of your centers. So with having 5, you have quite the breadth of size. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah. So my first center was 23, and we were able to grow that capacity to 27 due to a few minor renovations. That was my very first center. And that was my blood, gut, and sweat that I spent all my time doing everything. Mm-hmm. And then I actually increased another 21 and did an infant toddler 2 center and housed had both of those for 5 years, and then expanded to 63, to another 63, closed my second 21 down. And then 5 years later, moved up to 165. And then 3 years later, took another one that was 85. And then 3 years later, took this one on for 119. So I have all the ranges of centers that, absolutely.
Yeah. So I want to talk to you and dig in on how you decide to go and expand to the next one, and just things that you've learned, because right now we're in the middle of teaching people and launching a new program inside of the Academy, which is our launch level, which we actually just launched today, helping people get started from the ground up, which we've never done before as a program. So, and you're the perfect kind of poster child for this, because you're in our Empire level, which is the highest level of coaching, and you have 5 schools, but you have lived the journey that so many people listening to this podcast want to live, which is that they still haven't even started their first one yet. But I think, what you've developed is a confidence and a mindset of realizing that you're able to turn, situations, anything that falls in your lap or anything that you see that might not be perfect or, storybook picture perfect, but you figure out how to make it work. You can take a slightly oval peg and put it into a round hole and figure it out, and that's like a huge skill. So before we dig into that, tell us a little bit about your home life and what's going on at home for you. You're married to Brian. I know that.
Yes, I'm married to Brian, and he's the love of my life. He's just amazing and always supportive. I started dating when I was 16 years old. So
wow,
just the most amazing guy, and just has just supported me. So I can't say enough about him. He's just wonderful. I have 4 children. So I have a 22-year-old and I have a 20-year-old. I'm just proud of them. They're my girls and just doing amazing things. And then I have a 16-year-old that looks like he's 25. Everyone thinks he's older than he is. Maturity level, I don't know about that one, but and then I have my baby, and he is just turned 13. And so, and I cannot forget my dog, Gizmo.
Gizmo,
my baby.
Oh, I want Gizmo to meet Simba. That's
so yes, he's a mini golden doodle. Love him.
That I got to meet Gizmo, because that is the breed that we're thinking about adding to the family. So
you will love him.
Okay.
Oh, Okay.
Cool.
So yes, Simba, what is Simba?
Simba's a chocolate lab, 90 pounds.
Oh, and I love labs too. They're the best. Oh, okay. They can meet, they can be best
Yeah,
friends.
they can be besties. Super fun.
Perfect.
Although Simba's going to probably be like, "Ugh, really, but he might love on Gizmo, so that's cute. So tell us just give us a little bit more insight about your program. Like, what's the brand name of your program, and what's like things that you really stand for that make you stand out in the community? What are you known
Yeah,
for?
for sure, for sure. So we are A to Z building blocks. And just a little bit how I just have to throw this in how we got our name. A to Z preschool was my preschool. I was sitting on the front porch with my best friend, and we just said A to Z building blocks because we had to be at the top of the alphabet
Uh-huh.
because that was back in the day when you had a phone book.
Right.
So kind of exciting. So the unique qualities that we provide. One of them is we show cameras to our families. So that's opposed by some. However, we have definitely felt that it is a huge plus for us. Our families can view, but we do have a very high tech. I spent a lot on my camera system because I want to make sure it's very secure. So that sets us apart, and people come to us because we allow them to view it, and I want to be very transparent with them.
Yeah.
Another thing that sets us apart is our ratios are smaller than the state ratios.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do have a big belief in keeping them small for everyone involved. My caregivers need that. They can't, you can't give them more than what they can handle. And then we're just very family based. Our core values are really based on everyone needs to know everyone. Everyone needs to know their names. All the parents are called by their names. When they come in, they feel a part of the family. So I would say that that's very unique. And of course, those little bits of Chris Murray that she's taught us, the tour bags, things like that.
Yeah.
I think are very unique, and I think you stand out. So you have to bring out your unique qualities.
Yeah, I love that. Those are three great ones. I love the webcams. I love the ratios smaller than state. That's huge. And I love the family based. So the fact that obviously you've been with me for a while and studying best practice is guys be able to answer those questions and really stand out and pretty quick,
Yep.
really like good, really, really good.
Concrete. Yeah, you have
Solid
to
and
have those
concrete.
concrete. Mm-hmm.
Really good. Let's talk about, and I was wondering, is A to Z building blocks because you're a Zabriskie, you're a Z person, but I didn't know.
Possibly, because I went from the beginning of the alphabet to the very end. I sat through those graduations clear to the end.
You
so
sure
yes,
did. Yeah. So I
gotta
get
have
why
that Zabriskie.
Yeah, I get why you want to start at the A because you're tired of waiting to the Z. So I get that.
That's right. That's right.
Good.
I'm going to tell my husband that one.
Yeah. Thanks, Brian.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your growth over the years, and what I also want to let the listeners know, and we can talk about, is that you are right. You're in just the heart of Salt Lake City, or just south of it, and that is the fastest growing job market in the United States right now, thanks to the courtesy Wall Street Journal recent report. Other cities that are in fast growth mode are Austin, Denver, and Indianapolis. So FYI, if you guys are in those towns, you're experiencing similar to what Jody's experiencing. And so you've got, I think you've got a lot of growth opportunities right in front of you for expansion. You've talked about, and now you've become more comfortable with it because you went from 27 to 63 to 165 plus another 85 plus another 119. And so you've figured out all different ways, and then your corporate office too, which is an overflow. So now that you're on this journey, first of all, do you have a dream number of schools that you want? Like, do you have a bucket list number in your head, or does it just being open to opportunities and possibilities? Like, how do you kind of approach this journey that you're on with building your empire?
Well, it's that's a loaded question. I never thought I'd be where I am today. And I, the only thing that I wanted is to make sure that children had a great place to be, and they would be taken care of for at least 10 hours of the day. I didn't have that situation when I was younger. And so I was going to do everything in my power. So a lot of willpower, right? And then when I had my preschool and I moved it out into a very small location, I thought, this is it. And I'm going to raise my children and I'm going to be a preschool teacher. I found out real quickly that that was not the case. You actually have to manage, and you have to have a business, and you have to have the business mind. And so, the second one came about fluke, because I only offered preschool and older. And I said, oh my gosh, I'm like forgetting my babies. I love babies. And so then I opened one that happened to be two blocks down, and did those. And I thought that's where I was. And then the person came to me and said, a person in the same community came and said, do you want mine? And I had looked at possibly expanding, and I said, well, sure, let's look at it. Mind me, my very first location, I went into debt. I took a second on my mortgage. I mean, granted, this was the time that you could pinch yourself, and if you had blood, then you could get you could get a loan,
right?
So I was very fortunate. However, I mean, my husband had just graduated from college. We did not have money. I had to work. I had to work. And at that time I did a lot myself. I mean, I did my own plumbing, myself. I took the walls down, took a hammer. Wow. My husband wondered what in the world I was doing. And I'm like, well, if this is going to work, I've got to make it right. Yeah. So, it took a lot, and and I didn't take a paycheck for 5 years. It was my hobby. It was a hobby. I put it back in. $50,000 back then was a lot of money.
Yeah.
And $50,000 in debt on credit cards.
Right.
And I wasn't going to let it die. I was like, no way, I'm going to make this work. So lots of willpower. And so, as I grew up to 63 took the other location, the very first thing that you look at is, as you're expanding or where you're starting, you don't have to have every location does not need to look the same.
Yeah. If
that makes sense. You can bring in your culture, you can bring in the power by your environment that you create. So going into a facility and saying, oh, I want to paint that, I want to put some carpet on here, those kinds of things make the hugest difference as you're expanding. Walking in the door and just being able to see that right from the very beginning. Decluttering. Holy cow, decluttering. That is a huge thing to me, because declutter, and your appearance is huge. Your curb appearance right when you walk in is huge. Your smell is huge. So going in and then taking over as you expand, people have always come to me, and then I'll fill it and see if it's good. It really just, I mean, they called it the 5-year niche. Then they went to the 3-year niche. Yeah. And my husband's like, when are we done? And I said, I don't know when I'm done. Yeah. So, before I started the Childcare Success Academy, I was done. I was going to stop at my third one. And then, and I mean, I can get more into why I went into the academy. Yeah. If you'd like me to.
Oh, that's okay. I mean, we can touch on that, but did you come to a summit first, and because you were thinking about selling, and then you decided to jump back in, or what was okay.
Actually, Chris, I followed you since the very beginning, since you very first started. Yeah.
Oh, well, I did come and speak in Ogden.
Did. Yeah. UAYC conference. And that's where I had first heard you. And I fell in love with your practices and thought you were so wise. And, but it was at that time where I'm like, well, I have a waiting list. And when I joined the academy, I had a waiting list.
Yeah.
I didn't need per se. I didn't need it, but to be quite honest, I needed it for me. Right. I needed it for me because, I was going to just stay flat and I could be successful. I could have been successful, but I needed it for me. I needed that growth. And sometimes as an owner, it can be lonely at the top.
Big time.
And when you feel that and you have that growth mindset, you can flourish. And I've seen that, and I wasn't going to expand. I joined you thinking, well, I'm just doing this because I need something, and who knows?
Right.
And wow, it's changed my mindset so much.
Right. So I want to dig into that, the mindset piece next. But one thing you said that I want to touch on that Rachel talked about this morning when we were doing one of our challenge calls is when you are in your market and you're doing amazing work as an educator and as an entrepreneur, and your brand is out there, people will bring deals to you because you had a woman in your town who came to you and said, do you want it? Do you want to buy this? And that's what happened to Rachel. She's like, literally every deal that I have gone forward with and expanded has basically been brought to me. And that's from networking. It's from being known as having a great culture and a great school and doing excellent work and being a leader and being fun and having connections in the community, you know? So for people that are feeling like they either can't find the deals or they're the best kept secret in town, that's probably why you can't find the deals, because you're not out there enough putting out in the universe what you want to attract. And you're a perfect example of that, Jody, is that, you kept getting approached with, or you just keep finding. And then the last time we were on a coaching call, you were like, I've got 2 deals in front of me. I don't even know if I should do both of them or if I should do none of them. So that's a great problem to have, because you've got what I call deal flow. And if you want to start building your empire and grow to 10 locations or even 15 locations, you need to have deal flow. You need to have things going on and be a mover and a shaker.
Can I put something into there, Chris? Yeah. Because it goes right along with this. For instance, if your state does not have an association that promotes your facilities or childcare, the industry, you need to get on board and you need to develop an association. We have an association, and you can make changes. We have a lobbyist. We pay for a lobbyist along with 5 or 6 other providers, where we have shook things in our state. Yep. And so we collaborate with our state. We have an association that helped to create a committee, the Child Care Licensing Committee in the state. And so I'm the chair for the Child Care Licensing Committee. We make the rules for our industry. And then we're on the high quality committee. So I serve on a lot of committees, and people get to know you. Yeah. If you want to, you have to be one to go to your CAC or your CCR&R. Yep. And start teaching. I did that as well. Yep. People need to know you, but make sure that you have the best qualities and you're trying to do best practices before you try to enter that, kind of thing.
Well, and I didn't even think about teaching workshops at your CCR&R, childcareaware.org, at your local, because then you're also meeting teacher candidates or people that want to get their CDA, or people, and that they might have friends. And so that's also just a great way for you to shine as a potential employer of women and men that want to come into this field.
Yeah. So your state NAYC conference, the one that you spoke at, I teach at those all the time too. Yeah. It really does bring this energy. Obviously I don't, go in to try to take someone else's employee, kind of thing, but yeah, absolutely.
Love it. Love it. Love it. So I love that you said that. I love the serving on committees, being on your Chamber of Commerce, being involved in professional groups like Kiwanis or Rotary, teaching workshops, ECE lobbying, being on boards, just be involved. And the more you get out there and talk to people, the more you will be amazed at what deals are brought to you. So I love that. Now let's talk a little bit about the lonely entrepreneur at the top, because you're absolutely right. And I think a lot of people come into the academy thinking that they either need help with a variety of business issues, but what they really find and why they stay is because they just don't want to disconnect, because they're lonely when they leave, and then they come back to us because they realize that they don't have anybody else to really share their issues or just talk to, who gets it. People that really get what it's like to be the CEO of an educational company. So talk about that, and talk about how your mindset has shifted over the last 18 months or so.
Wow, that's a loaded question. That is really loaded. I just feel, I mean, I'm really feeling at a blessed state in my life. And, um, it does get lonely and there are things that you cannot share with your team. You're the cheerleader. You're there to build them up. And obviously you do have to show them that you're not perfect. So you have to show them some sense of, your mistakes, and own up to them, but you can't share everything. And so that can be very, very lonely because yeah, I don't know. It can be lonely. When I entered the academy, I literally thought, okay, I really know how to do childcare. And I went in going, well, we'll see. We'll see. It's a big price to pay, but I got high quality standard in my state on all four of my locations. I can afford it to do something for myself,
Right.
to give me the education and the growth. I wouldn't change it for the world. Holy cow.
Mhm.
If you follow those techniques and just the growth is just amazing. So I would say that I thought, like I said, I thought I had full waiting lists. I was wrong because I could always put in someone here or someone there or talk to my staff better, give them opportunities to grow. So that's changed.
Mhm.
COVID. I said a year before COVID, I'm going to get a place for me, but I'm only going to sit there for maybe one day out of the week.
Right.
But I'll be here to support you guys. I'm going to jump in still and go to this location this day and this location this day. And then COVID hit.
Right.
And then I had to pull myself out.
Yeah.
And then I needed a place to put myself. And now my team, they're amazing because I allowed them their lanes and I do my lane.
Yeah.
I mean,
I love that.
It's just amazing. Just amazing when you find your lane and you allow your people to flourish, they will shine.
Mm-hmm.
They will shine if you allow them to.
Yeah, I think that that's a huge nugget for people that, I see in the industry is that people are so afraid to let their people, they're afraid to trust. They're afraid to really let go. In EOS language, they call it letting go of the vine.
Yep.
And if you visualize letting go of the vine, if you don't have anything to catch your fall, you're going to fall on your butt or potentially perish from the earth. And so you have to trust that there's going to be a landing pad for you and when you let go of the vine as the CEO. And that could be really scary and really difficult for a lot of people. And and COVID basically forced you to let go of the vine.
It did. And there's a book that I'm reading now that really talks about that. And I believe you're reading the same book. So, there's also, you can't just let go of it and just say, okay, well, everything's going to be fine. Mm-hmm. You've got to set up your processes. You've got to have things in order. And I feel very, very grateful that right when I very first started, if there was anything that I did right, is write down every single thing that I did as I was doing it.
Right.
And every single process. And I always said, because you know what happens if I die? I want this legacy to continue. Yeah. And my staff always tease me because I always say, if I die today, it can go on.
Yeah.
But really that's what it is. If I die today, or if I step back, you guys all know what you're doing. Yes. You got this. You got this because you're amazing.
Yeah. And I think it's that too. I think the fact that you're there saying, you got this, you're amazing, you can do it, I trust you. I empower you to give you all of this. And I've written everything down that I know. And of course, things are going to change over time. So letting them kind of own that change management. And are you referring to the book Clockwork? Or are you referring to Profit First? Or which one are you referring to?
Love the book Clockwork. Love that book. That is, it is just amazing. And I mean, obviously, I'll give you some books at the end, but right now that is my golden nuggets.
Yay. I'm loving it.
Love that book.
Yeah.
Love
Mike
it.
Michalowicz, we got to give you a shout out. I'm hoping to bring Mike, the author of Clockwork and Profit First, to the podcast shortly, and hopefully in a few weeks. So thanks for that shout out. And let's talk about challenges. So what is the biggest business challenge that you have faced that you have overcome?
Work-life and balance, work-life balance.
Mm,
Yeah. When you're a business owner, you're automatically put into the seat of you work 90 hours a week.
mhm,
It's just what it is. You have to work hard.
mhm.
However, there's the saying that work smarter, not harder. And I honestly can say that I used to work harder than smarter.
Right.
And opening my centers, that's what it was.
Mhm.
And I can see going backwards that my family life struggled. And to be quite honest, my business life struggled because I was not working on my business. I was working in the business.
Mhm.
And so going through and honestly, this just barely has changed since I joined your academy, because now I'm working on my business instead of in it. And so my last takeover has been pretty successful, so to speak. I mean, we obviously need to grow our enrollment, but I haven't felt like my husband says he doesn't see me for a year after I open one.
Right.
It's challenging. I mean, it's really, really challenging on a marriage.
Yeah.
This one, he's like, "What? Did you open another center? Like you can't even feel it." And I said, "Well, because people are in their right lanes.
Yeah.
I'm empowering my staff, and I'm not bearing that weight all on my own because I have a team of amazing people, and I'm allowing them to do it. I have
Yeah.
the most amazing team.
Yeah.
It's your attitude.
Yes.
So all starts with you. If there's
Yeah.
something going wrong in your company, you need to look at yourself first. Figure
Mhm.
out there, and then your team will flourish. They're
Mhm.
amazing."
Well, I love that, Jody. That's just like amazing. And that's also the mindset shift. And it's just apparent to me that, you're just oozing positivity, and it wasn't always like that. And then work-life balance, because a lot of people call each location that they open, they're like birthing a baby, right? So that's like, and then it's like you said, it was a year. So it's a 9-month birthing, at which time your hubby Brian never saw you, but now it's different. And now you figured out a way to birth the baby, but other people are the ones actually helping all of the pieces and parts. So I love that. And I know people still struggle, even in our group, with lanes, because I was even on a pod call this morning with some Empire folks, and they were struggling with the accountability chart and the lanes and definition and getting their people to actually, show up and be held accountable to each other. And so I think that what you said is really smart, which is it starts with you. It starts with your expectations and your attitude. You're showing up grateful, positive, and you're going, I have the best team ever. And now they're responding to you and going, yeah, we are the best team ever. Because Jody knows that we rock it, and we're going to show up that way. And so I think looking at how you show up in the business, and I'm speaking to everybody that's listening, and myself too, is the biggest difference maybe. So if I asked Brian, like the shift he's seen in you, it would probably be all of those things that I just said.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, your attitude can make or break you. So it does really, I mean, it's mine. It's life-changing when your attitude is there. And even when you're going through those challenges, just have a strong attitude and just know that, I mean, you dictate it. You dictate your future.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's powerful. So let's talk about that. Let's dig into that a little bit more. And specifically, your school leadership and your culture. It sounds, obviously attitude and leadership of how you're showing up every day is huge. And that's made a big positive impact. How about, have you shifted people around in the organization and the org chart, or let go of C&D players? Like, talk a little bit about what you've done in that area just to keep the culture going in a positive direction.
Absolutely. So it's all about putting people in the right seat and communicating that to your team. You guys, I want you guys to know that if you're not in the right classroom, come and tell me. We'll put you in the different classroom. And I've always had that philosophy. If you don't like to be with 2-year-olds, but you're in the 2-year-old classroom and you're burned out, come and talk to me. Don't just walk out the door.
Right.
Let's have this open communication. And you know what? I'm not going to get down on you for not wanting to be with a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
Let's put you where you are fit to be.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it started years ago when I had someone in a 2-year-old classroom and she goes, I can't stand this. I'm leaving. And I said, well, what do you want? Well, I want to be with preschoolers. Well, let's move you today.
Right.
And it's quick. You do it quick, right? You do it quick. And I had a director, seriously, the most amazing person. I mean, her qualities are amazing. And she is an A player. She believed in the core values. She believes in everything that our company does. And it was so draining for her to manage people at that level. It was just so hard for her. Put her in the right seat, her face, she's smiling when she comes to work. And you could just see the energy flowing. And so I think I have the philosophy, instead of complaining about your employees, talk to them, have the open communication. Don't be complaining to them. You show up. If you're complaining about your employees, guess what? You've just told everyone that it's okay to complain.
That's right.
But if you show up and you say, hey, what is the problem? And I am having a problem with you right now, but I want to put you over here. And I've done that. I mean, I did it with a school age teacher. I said, you're not a school age teacher. You're terrible in this classroom. However, I know that your qualities are amazing with preschoolers. Let's move you there. Holy moly, totally different story. So it really is about putting people. Kicked out my husband, said, you can't be with me in the same day to day. He's flourishing. He's amazing. But him and I, no way.
Right.
Just be in the right seat. And if you're not in the right seat at the top, put someone in that seat and go do what you love. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Put people where they need to be and they'll flourish for you. I promise.
Yeah. Well, I love that, Jody. That is like one of the most refreshing things that ever has been said, I think, on this podcast. I swear to God, because people say it, but they don't say it just as common sense and seriously fast action like you did, and open and honest. Like, don't walk out the door. Let's make you happy. Where would you be happy? Like, be proactive, be a leader. And also you can see qualities in your people that they don't see in themselves. I mean, I saw that, somebody on my team would be an amazing salesperson. And so we put him there, and I saw this person's going to be an amazing customer care person. And so you can see people's, gifts sometimes that they don't even know that they have. But what you're saying is even maybe more powerful too, which is just talk to me, And so I love that, because people are going to respond to you. They're going to stay with you because they're going to love that you did that for them. They're going to be grateful to you. They're going to be loyal to you, and that's what we all want.
Yeah. I think I have a really good example. I had someone sitting at my front desk, answering phones, the most amazing person answering phones, too much distraction. Brought her in. Now she does the enrollment. Holy cow, she's amazing. And she loves to be on the phone. Her bright smile comes out in the phone.
Yeah.
And she's with me, but I could have very well let her go. But I'm like, no way. Right. I love that you have those values. Let's see what we can do.
Right.
Oh, right. It's amazing. It's amazing when you bring out those unique qualities. Do not focus on their weaknesses, focus on their strengths. And I promise you, more people will flourish for you.
Yes. Love that. Strengthen the strengths. And
absolutely.
Love that. So good. So good. So let's talk about your definition of a childcare rock star, because I'm sure you're going to just blow my mind on this one. No pressure. No. How do you, Jody Zabriskie, define a childcare rock star?
I think, hopefully I blow your mind here, but it's very, very simple. Go to work because you love to. Be in this business because you love it.
Right.
And if you don't love it, get out.
Mm-hmm.
The childcare rock star is one that loves doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean you have to be big. Doesn't mean you have to be small. It doesn't mean you even have to, like, for instance, there's some that don't even love the children, but they hire the right people that love the children.
Right.
I'm fortunate because I love the children. I love what I do. I love my team. So the childcare rockstar does not necessarily mean one thing. Mm-hmm. The childcare rockstar is just love what you do. Go to work because you want to go to work. Love what you do, and you're going to flourish.
Yeah. Love it. So good. Resources. Unfortunately, we've already used up our time. So I'm going to the final question, which is the resources, books, things that you want to share in addition to Clockwork. What do you got for us?
Yep. Traction is life-changing. And it gives you the tools just like Clockwork does. Your to-do list. Love the to-do list. And then the other one is five levels of leadership. By John Maxwell. I just think that's amazing because you're going to go into different levels of leadership with every single person you come in contact with. Mm-hmm. And I just think that those 3 books, if you're going to go anywhere, those are the 3 books you should start with. And you focus your whole entire business on those 3 books, and I guarantee you'll be successful.
Cool. Love it. How can people learn more about your program and what you're up to?
Well, website. You can go on my website, a2zbuildingblocks.com.
Okay.
Send me an email. I'm perfect. It's Jody, Jody at a2zbuildingblocks.com. I'm happy to answer any questions. I just love the collaboration, and I just love this industry. So I'm grateful to have Chris. I mean, you've been amazing, and you've been such an instrument in my success. Just my attitude, to be quite honest. It's just amazing. So thanks for all you do.
Oh, you're welcome, honey. I'm so glad that we met almost exactly 6 years ago, or I don't know if we actually met, but we were in the audience with you. I remember talking to you, I think briefly, but it was 6 years ago in Ogden, Utah. And I look forward to getting back out into more state conferences and doing that again, because I feel like during that time when I was doing a lot of speaking at the state workshop level, I made a lot of connections with people that I'm still working with today. Mike Garatoni, perfect example, longest member in the academy. I met him at an Indiana ECE conference, and he bought my enrollment boot camp. And here we are 8 years later together. So I love that you and I met that way. And we're working together every month inside the empire level of the academy. So it's good stuff.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for being here today on Childcare Rockstar Radio. Jody Zabriskie, everybody. She's a rock star in her own right. And we'll be together. When's the next time? I guess we'll be together in July, hopefully, in Denver.
July, hopefully. Yes. Yeah. No, it's not a hopefully. It is happening.
It's happening. All right, honey. Take care. And thanks, everybody, for tuning in to this episode 105. And we'll talk to y'all next time. Bye.